Hello and welcome to the new Smith and Schroeder podcast. My name is, of course, Ryan Schroeder, and this is my co-captain on this journey, Mr. Alex Smith.
Hello.
And we're gonna talk sports with y'all today. First Smith and Schroeder podcast to ever come out. Very excited, very excited. What are we thinking?
Why don't we start right off with some NBA talk? I know we're right in the off season, so we're all very excited for what's going to come up this season. I know the Mavericks, our team, they got some good, promising young players.
I believe so.
Yeah.
Kristaps and the boys.
The unicorn and the young man Luka, the beast.
Luka Doncic.
Mm-hmm. Well, but they also have some other key players some rotation players that are pretty young too, like Jalen Brunson and Maxi Kleber that might bring them far too. So I think this year will probably be more of a try to get things together, get some consistency and some playing time together as a team together. But I think we're really aiming for 2021 as our window for championship. But I think playoffs are definitely possible this year.
I think there is definitely a possibility. Now, definitely having Kristaps this year. Not having Kristaps last year when he just came to the team was a problem because you lose Dennis Smith and you didn't have someone to replace him immediately. Obviously, Dirk's last season was, a farewell goodbye. We went to that second to last game, which was, amazing experience. But yeah, I think the Mavs will they'll do pretty well this year. Definitely think they have a chance of making the playoffs though if they don't try to tank.
Yeah, the West is pretty stacked this year. You got a lot of teams that are good. More like the Rockets, Clippers, obviously, Lakers and Warriors and those teams. But there's some teams that we'll probably be fighting with for the 7th or 8th seed, like the Spurs, the Pelicans. They have Zion, Lonzo, and maybe even the T-Wolves or some other surprise teams could do some. But yeah, the Jazz look really good this year. It's some other things.
The East will be good eventually when certain guys prosper. You're looking at it right now. You got KD over there. You got KD and Kyrie on one team. Obviously KD's out this year. And even in the preseason game, so this is the West I'm kind of trying to talk about. So I'll go to the West real quick. Watching the Lakers and play the Warriors in that preseason game, LeBron and AD looked electric. I think that is just destined for success. Warriors not having Clay is something that's going to be their downfall. And I think the Warriors, just D'Lo and Steph for a while, it won't be able to get things done. They won't be that power team. Now the Clippers, that's a team I'm worried about. Clippers, you got Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. People are saying that they're not good enough on offense, but they're elite. They are elite defenders, but they're elite all around. So I feel like the Lakers are elite on offense and defense, and I feel like that great of a defensive team with Pat Beverly and the two other guys. Come on, dude.
Yeah, well, for the Lakers, I would say my main thing is that their depth needs to play up. If it's just AD and LeBron and even some Kuzma, then I don't think it's going to be enough since, the Clippers are just such a deep team with Montrezl Harrell and Lou Williams and all those good players they have. Mm-hmm. And then they add, Kawhi and Paul George and then just a massive defense juggernaut. But, Kawhi and PG both can do some moves on offense, both got their offensive game. So it's going to be hard to stop them. But I think the Lakers probably have the most potential to be better. But I think we're aiming towards a big juggernaut match in the Western Conference Finals between those two teams.
Oh, for sure. I definitely see that. That is definitely a very plausible thing to happen. I think one thing that needs to be talked about is how teams like the Pelicans can prosper with their young talent. I know Zion and Lonzo are there, and I think that they can do well in the future. They just have to work with what they've got.
Yeah, I think a lot of teams are taking smarter approaches this year. In the past, it's always been try to, win now, even if it doesn't matter. But some analytics and things like that have shown that being mediocre doesn't help your team at all. So, this age of tanking, there's a lot of really young teams that have a lot of good young players that who knows what happens. So it's been interesting to watch that as the season goes on. But I think that can bring us to some team predictions. So who do you have as the number one team in the East?
In the East, I think I've seen Ben Simmons working in the offseason this season. He's gotten a lot better. I think there's some guys in there that have worked their way up, but let's be honest here. In the upcoming years, it'll be the Nets when it comes their time, but not this year. I'm gonna say the Bucks are one of the. Giannis is only going to get better. I feel like Giannis and the Bucks will do good. Chris Middleton, all those guys.
I'm excited to see Giannis play this year after his MVP season, and he seems like he's only getting better. But yeah, I think the Nets, they also have some good depth last year. Like they made the playoffs last year, and they hardly lost anyone and added, Kyrie and KD. So
yeah,
I think Kyrie will definitely in the East, but get them to the playoffs. So I don't think they'll win it, that's for sure. But I think they'll definitely make some noise. But with KD, man, I think they're just going to be the team to beat.
For sure.
They seem like just a juggernaut. And because they had a lot of young players there, like Karis LeVert, and just he if he blossoms, if he does well in the future, then who knows what they could do. But yeah, the 76ers are a team to watch. Not a lot of shooting, but they're very tall, and they could just beat down teams, possibly.
For sure.
So what about your West?
That's where it comes through. I think I'm heavy on these Clippers. These Clippers are going to be good. I just feel they're going to be good. But we can't really sleep on the Lakers. I mean, the Lakers, they might have looked bad last year, but AD is a top 5 player that just joined another top 5 player on the same team. Like, this is like Steph and KD playing on the same team. This is now LeBron and AD playing on the same team. This is going to be an elite team that has got some other key weapons on there. We forget that D. Cousins is on this team. D. Cousins plays well in the postseason. I mean, I think the West Lakers are going to look really good, and maybe their depth won't help now, but eventually it will.
Yeah, well, DeMarcus Cousins had that injury, so I'm not sure if he'll be able to. It says he'll be expected to miss the entire 2019-20 season.
Is it actually?
Yeah, the whole season it says. So I mean, who knows? Maybe he'll come back earlier.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so that's a big load for them because he could have been really good this season, but fortunately they'll have to replace him.
So does Clay come back? When does Clay come back?
I was confused about that because I thought he tore his ACL, right? So that would be out for a while. But people are saying that we got Clay, D'Lo, and Steph. I think Clay will probably come back maybe in time for the playoffs if they're doing well. Mm-hmm. But they have all those guys in the future still locked up, so I think they're kind of expecting it for next year, but. Yeah, he probably will come back this year if they're, and let's be honest, they're the Warriors. They're going to make the playoffs, right? Exactly. So, yeah, I think I agree with you, though, with the Clippers and then Lakers, too. And then I think it's really interesting with the Jazz. They added Mike Conley. Mm-hmm. So, he's a really underrated player.
So underrated.
On the Grizzlies, but I don't think he's going to be underrated anymore after he goes on the Jazz and lights it up. But so I think they'll probably be a top 5 team. And then, the Russ and the Harden, in the Rockets as well, and that's a team to watch for sure. But I don't think they're a team built for the playoffs. I don't really think any James Harden team is. So especially if you had Russell Westbrook, the other player, it's I would say it's not going to lead a team to a championship. But who knows? Maybe they might accept their roles.
Who knows? Right? Exactly.
But yeah, I think they'll be probably be Clippers, Warriors, Rockets, Jazz, and then some other teams might mix in there like the Nuggets.
Mm-hmm. Nuggets are always
the Blazers.
Good.
The Blazers seem like they're always like a 5, 6, 7 seed.
Yeah, Damian
4, 5,
Lillard will sneak his way in there.
Yeah, I don't know about the Blazers' future with that huge supermax to
that's
the Blazers.
That's insane, dude. He got paid way too much.
Well, you think that's enough? Wait till next year, in 2021 offseason. Giannis is a free agent. The supermax goes up to like 300 something million, so he could get paid like crazy amounts. So
that's crazy.
Yeah, Giannis is about to be a very rich man.
I think that's good for the NBA. I think we did. That's good. Let's switch it on over to the MLB. Right now, we got some games going on right now. Oh, did that game just finish?
No, the Braves are currently leading 4-3 in the top of the 6th to the Cardinals. So obviously, you guys will see how that turns out. But currently, the Houston's leading 2-1 against the Rays. Mm-hmm. The Rays just beat down Zach Greinke. And the Dodgers are up 2-1 on the Nationals. And, well, the Braves are up 2-1 on the Cardinals, but we'll see how that game ends. And Yankees are up 2-0 on the Twins. So do you think the Twins will, make a game or possibly even reverse sweep and win the series?
Coming back from a 2-0 might be the hardest thing, and especially against a Yankees team like that. I don't feel like the Twins have it in them to get past that. People have been talking all year how good this Yankees team is. I really don't think that anything, especially a team like the Twins, is gonna have a chance to come back from that.
Yeah, I don't know, man. The Twins, they got some high-powered offense, so if their pitching can get together, I think their guys can make a comeback. But I think it's still pretty going to be a pretty hard comeback for the Twins. I think they'll probably win maybe 1 or even 2 games. But yeah, what about the Houston in the Tampa Bay Rays series?
I think it's interesting to see how well the Rays have come. They've become a better team throughout this time, but we do see that the Rays got to play at home today for the first time, and now that they're playing at home, they got to do pretty well in that status. I think overall, the Astros will win that series and advance to the ALCS. But I really do think right now that the Rays are a pretty good team. They just had a great day today, winning 10-3.
Oh yeah, I think the Rays. Who knows? They might win another game, make it 2-2. But I don't think the Rays can come back and reverse sweep this. I think the Astros are a really good team, especially with their combination of Garrett Cole, Verlander, and Greinke. Just
Verlander's
crazy.
Amazing. Verlander's insane.
Garrett Cole's a monster too, man. And then, but yeah, I agree with you. I don't think the Astros are gonna lose this series. So
yeah.
And then we just got the Dodgers and Nationals. The Dodgers are up 2-1.
Yeah, I think Dodgers. I mean Nationals. I mean, let's be honest, dude. Nationals is just. I mean.
Yeah.
They're not the team that they used to be with Bryce Harper. I mean, it's not the same team anymore. They did look okay, but I think it's time for the Dodgers just to take their win and then hopefully not losing the World Series this year again for the 3rd year in a row.
Yeah, that would be very unfortunate, but the Dodgers like to make the World Series, got some good teams out there in the National League, but yeah, the Nationals, I think they're just kind of, I don't say really lucky because they've worked really hard for this, but I think they're kind of fortunate to be in the situation right now that they're even in the playoffs and can do this since I mean obviously they got the best of the Phillies with the whole Bryce Harper debacle. The Phillies aren't even in the playoffs, didn't really sniff it, and
exactly.
Another team that was surprising was the Cleveland Indians. The Twins just destroyed them, and it comes to the records, man. They weren't even close by the end of the season. But yeah, I think the Dodgers will definitely win that. So yeah. I don't see any upsets coming out of that. So I think that's it for the current series. But so who do you think will take it out of the AL, and who do you think will make it out of the NL and be in the World Series?
I'm gonna go with the Yankees Braves. I know I'm kind of a homer for my Bravos, and I love my Braves, but dude, you got Acuna, you got Freddie Freeman, and who I've loved in the bullpen that's played every game so far. Fried, whatever his name is, Fried, spelled like fried. It's Fried.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he is just played insanely well in my opinion. He comes from the bullpen and just does well every night, and I think that's part of the reason why we've won some of these games. And I think overall we could be in a situation a couple years down the line where we lose all this. So now is our time to strike. Yankees, like I said earlier, I mean, there's guys on that team that you can't fight. I mean, you know what I'm saying. The Yankees are just a great team. So
yeah, I think I think it's a hard decision to choose between the Yankees and the Astros, man. Like they're both just great teams, but I don't know, man. I think the Yankees. Obviously I don't like the Astros, but I think the Yankees are just a better team, like overall. So I think it can go really either way, but I think the Yankees will probably make the World Series, and I'm gonna have to go with I think the Dodgers.
Dodgers are a good team.
The Dodgers are good making it to the World Series, but just not winning. So I think the Yankees will probably add another one, beating the Dodgers in the World Series, man.
It's so embarrassing, but I guess
Clayton Kershaw. I don't know what's up with him in the playoffs, man. It's just like every single year he's just really bad.
It's terrible.
Yeah. So,
all right. That's some good baseball talk. I think it's time to move into the better known area. I think we talk about our little NFL. So Week 5 just finished, NFL Week 5. And we have a Monday night game tonight. We got the Browns and the 49ers. And I think we definitely can see some great players prospering out. of this week. Obviously, guys, fantasy wise, not to just to point out that fantasy wise points went up totally this week.
Oh, yeah.
Guys have breakout games, except for the fact the one guy that didn't have a breakout game, Patrick Mahomes.
True. Patrick Mahomes, in the first 3 games this year, has thrown 10 touchdowns, but in the last 2, he's only thrown 1.
Isn't that crazy?
So, yeah, he's definitely slowed down. But he managed to get the dub against the Lions with a really clutch game-winning drive, but he lost to the Colts this week, man, and it just wasn't enough offense for him, losing 13-19. But onto that, let's get into the game recap for this week. So the Rams beat the Seahawks on Thursday, 30-29, with a great performance by Russell Wilson, and just Greg Zuerlein missed that clutch field goal at the end there. And the Jets just manhandled the Eagles just manhandled the Jets, man. And it was just pathetic. The Eagles defense got something like 2 touchdowns, 2 picks, 10 sacks. It was just embarrassing. The Jets are. I'll probably put the Jets as the worst team in the NFL right now, behind the Dolphins.
Yeah,
they are tanking hard. I mean, you can't really blame them.
It's
their
so
quarterback's
sad how
injured.
Terrible that division is. That division is so bad.
Oh yeah, it's like Patriots 5-0, Bills 4-1, and then 0-5, 0-5, Jets and Dolphins.
It's so terrible.
Just really bad. Yeah, and some people have the Jets making the wild card. I didn't buy into that, but
wow,
they are very wrong right now. So the Panthers 34, Jaguars 27. This is a really close game, man. The Leonard Fournette pretty good, but the story of the week, man, Christian McCaffrey just juking, running. He's crazy.
Insane.
Oh yeah, he's an MVP candidate, man. And then
for sure.
Yeah. Next we got the Vikings versus Giants.
Your team, baby. Your team.
Oh yeah, the Vikings. They just destroy every trash team they play and then lose to every good team. Same old. But yeah, man, it's just 28-10 is just evidence of a demolishing. Like the Giants couldn't really do anything. The Vikings just did whatever they wanted. So yeah, but man, this game, 53 Texans, Falcons 32.
No, I don't like to talk about this because then Matt Ryan will still throw for 300 passing yards every single game, no matter what it is, and then they'll still lose. I mean, how do you let Will Fuller do that much to you, dude? Will Fuller just went off.
14 catches, like 200 yards,
That's
2
insane,
touchdowns.
Dude. Insane.
Yeah, well, man, Deshaun Watson, he is
I think Deshaun
planted himself.
So underrated.
I think he's a 4th MVP voting if I were to put it up right now.
Mm-hmm.
But Falcons just need to fix their defense, man. They score 32. I mean, it's not really that hard to score 32 when the opposing team scores 53 and gives you the ball all the time. But they got 32 points, which would be the most every other team.
That's good. That's a good offense. That's a good game.
Yeah. Man, just 53-32. That's crazy. And then Saints beat the Bucks 31-24. Teddy Bridgewater had a great game, 4 touchdowns, but man, the Buccaneers are not bad, man. They played well against the Saints. They beat the Rams last week. The Bucks with what's his name? The old Cardinals head coach, Bruce Arians at the helm. Not the realm. He's led them to good things, man. And then the Bills 14, Titans 7. The Titans kicker actually missed 4 field goals. And so that's not good. So they would have won if he just hit 3 of them. So he went 0 for 4. They lost 14-7. So
terrible.
The Bills are kind of lucked into 4-1. It doesn't seem like they'll keep that. Though.
Yeah, probably not. Probably not that same area.
And then Cardinals 26, Bengals 23.
Mm-hmm.
It was a really good game against the Cardinals and Bengals. Just Kyler Murray, man.
Kyler Murray is
rushing everywhere. The Bengals.
Different type of quarterback.
Yeah. And then the Bengals, man, they're just kind of bad, but they've played close to these teams, which I guess you want, right? If you want to tank, but also not be so bad.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess they're doing their job well, but I mean, Andy Dalton is not the answer for a long time. They need to draft a quarterback.
He's been there forever, too.
Yeah, and then Patriots 33, Redskins 7. I mean, what's more to say about this game? The Redskins are actually up 7-0, and then they just didn't score another point for the rest of the game. So, just
in typical fashion.
Completely destroyed, nothing more to say. And then Ravens 26, Steelers 23.
That overtime game, that was nice.
Some questionable calls, Mason Rudolph got just destroyed. I feel bad for him.
That's so sad.
Yeah,
that was
NFL,
so sad.
NFL needs to get their stuff together, man. That was just pathetic when they did. So the story is that the cart that they were bringing out, they put him on so they could drive him out there because he was laying unconscious on the ground. Didn't work. So he had to get him up and walk him out instead of and they couldn't even get a stretcher or anything. So that's just kind of pathetic. But man, the surprise of the week, Raiders 24, Bears 21.
I know, dude. I know. And
London.
the Bears almost came back. They were down.
Oh, yeah.
They were down. And they almost came back in this game. But I think that Bears defense, we've seen it produce very well each week. And just this week was not a good week for them.
Yeah, it was in London. And, the story, Khalil Mack going against his old team. But, man, they just, they allowed something like 90 rushing yards, the most in each game. And the Raiders rushed for 170 or something. So they completely destroyed them on the running game, which is not what you see often. And the Broncos beat the Chargers, which is surprising. I did not expect this. Man, the Broncos, they can look good and bad at different times, man.
They're not consistent. Not consistent.
The Chargers are not consistent either. I don't know what's up with them.
I know, Eckler, and now you had Melvin Gordon back this week?
Yeah, Melvin Gordon had a slow return.
Exactly.
But, a little rusty. You need some game time. I mean, it's not like he was injured or anything, but you still need to play against, bodies, contact and stuff. And
For sure.
The Cowboys game wasn't too good for the Cowboys. Packers 34,
no.
Cowboys 24. Wasn't as close as the score says. The Cowboys came back, scored some garbage time points, but a lot of questions about Dak.
I think overall Amari Cooper had a great game.
Oh yeah.
And it wasn't even that bad. It's just Zeke wasn't on his top of his game. He got rushes, but he just wasn't getting far in them. And Dak was lining up with some receivers, but when it came down to it, they weren't able to put up points on the board. And that's just the game right there.
Yeah, they had a chance to possibly make it close, but then they just choked the last drive there. And then another surprise of the week already mentioned, Colts 19, Chiefs 13. You already mentioned that one. So what do you think about the game tonight, Browns versus 49ers?
So I'm thinking really here what needs to happen is the Browns need to stop this 49er offense. I think the 49er offense is very underrated at this point. I think there's some guys on that team that are I think Breida is one of the underrated players on that team. He's had some breakout games off and on. But the Browns, they need to effectively use their weapons. They need to use Baker Mayfield, Nick Chubb, and Jarvis Landry, and Odell Beckham. Those guys need to work as the offense that they were created to be and be this lead offense. They haven't found their chemistry yet, and I feel like they need to find that if they want to win this game tonight.
Yeah, completely agree, man. The Browns, I feel like the Browns just, Baker Mayfield needs to play up to what his expectations. He was hyped a lot on the offseason, and he's just not showing it. I mean, last week, but they won last week? They won. I think they won last week. And Jarvis Landry did pretty good. But
they won last week against the Ravens
good,
by
yes.
15.
Yeah, that's the big win for the Browns. A lot of offense, a lot of good signs. Because the offense was not clicking at all before that game. So if they can just keep that going, man, they will. They can get back into the form because the defense is pretty good. So, but the 49ers, at least the 49ers have been doing great this year. So if they can keep it up against the Browns, who are trying to prove something and this is kind of a must-win game for the Browns. So this should be a really good game, and we can see if the 49ers are for real or not tonight.
Yeah. So week 6, I think enough said about that is just the fact that I'm just going to kind of scroll through it pretty quick. We got that Giants-Patriots game. I think it's pretty obvious to know after the Vikings just destroyed the Giants, I think it's pretty obvious to know that the Patriots are just going to handle business in New York and get that done. Saquon's not really showing that he's, insane. Well,
Saquon's been injured the past few weeks, so this should be exciting because Saquon will be back this game, and this is definitely a must-win game for the Giants. If they don't win this, then they can kiss their playoff hopes goodbye. So, yeah, it's in Foxborough, so it would be really, really hard for the Giants to win. But if they can win this, man, because Daniel Jones has shown that he can make the throws and he can be the quarterback. So I think Giants fans should be happy. And Giants can win some games, but this is definitely the game the Patriots don't want to lose. They shouldn't take it. I don't really think they take any games not seriously in the Patriots, but they definitely don't want to take this for granted because this should be a game where it might be a blowout, but the Giants will at least try their hardest. And then I think we should just go to some key matchups here. So
key matchups. I think we can go. I'm excited to see some of those actual division battles. I think Panthers Bucks might be okay of a game. I think obviously Christian McCaffrey up against the Bucks it'd be interesting. And that game's going to be in Tampa. Another division battle is going to be the Bengals and the Ravens. Not a lot to say about that. Other than I think
the Ravens would like to win that. If they don't win that, then that'd be very bad for their season because the Bengals are not good at all.
And then the 49ers and the Rams. That's a game that is looking very nice right now at this point. I think that will be a game to watch on the Sunday when we see the Rams, persist on against this 49er team. But we'll see how the 49ers play tonight, and if they're that same team next week. Overall, I mean, I think the Lions and Packers play. I think after watching the Packers play last week and just how terrible this Lions team is, I think that's like pretty obvious to see that the Packers are winning that game.
Some non-divisional I think are important are Eagles at Vikings. The Vikings, home, they got to win this game, and it's important because Kirk Cousins just went out there and destroyed a non-500 team, and a lot of Vikings fans are not very happy with him. So if he can go out there and beat a over 500 team, I think that'll make a lot of people less hating on him, and give a lot of you some confidence, and then he can, play his game. And then some other ones, Texans at Chiefs. It's definitely two pretty good teams playing. I
agree with that. That is a good game. I think seeing if Pat Mahomes can get back in his rhythm, and then we get another beautiful QB playing right now is
two hot QBs. Well, one hot and one that was hot. So
exactly,
you know what he can do.
We got Deshaun Watson.
That's a nickname. I like that.
Exactly, Deshaun Watson. But no, I think overall that will be a good matchup. And then I think the Cowboys will get that W against the Jets pretty easily.
I hope so.
That would be very nice to get from the Dallas side of things. But I think that's a pretty good rundown of things. I think there's nothing really else that's going to be standing out the next week. But I think it's time to talk this. Do we think that Pat Mahomes has got it in him to step it up and get the MVP, or are we going more along the lines of running back this year?
It's really between, if I were to say, it's between Patrick Mahomes, Christian McCaffrey, Russell Wilson, and Deshaun Watson. All four of those guys are playing very good. Patrick Mahomes, you can't really take him out of the MVP favor unless he just has, some like two more really bad games. But even then, who knows? Because he can just he still passed for like 300 yards in those games.
His passing yards are insane. He's on track to score to have 6,000, I think, right?
Yeah, he'll have the stats, man.
I mean, it's crazy.
Just what depends on MVP is how well your team do and how well did you do mainly. So if Christian McCaffrey can carry his team to the playoffs and just carry him on his back, man, get like 2,500 total yards or something crazy.
Insane.
Then I think he has a good chance of winning MVP because I think a lot of people want to see him win MVP since he's carrying the team on his back with Cam Newton now. But I think his workload will hopefully go down. I mean, if I were the Panthers, I wouldn't want to ruin his body since he's just rushing. He's the entire team right now pretty much on offense when Cam comes back. I mean, the questions about Cam too. When will he come back? So I think he's one to watch out. And I think also Lamar Jackson was in the competition, but I think he's had a couple of off games. So if he can, get some crazy touchdown numbers again, then yeah, he'll definitely be in the conversation. But to be honest, I think it'll probably be Pat Mahomes again. But I think Russell Wilson, has a good shot too if he has a bunch of crazy games. But I don't think they will go with the pass-heavy offense again like the Chiefs will. So.
Yeah, I think that's a good thing, and I think that can wrap up our NFL talk. Moving more outside of the pro area, we're back into college football. I think we can look to see some of these college teams that have been playing very well recently. Obviously, you have so many undefeated teams still. Lots of undefeated teams, including you got your whole entire. What is that? You got top 9 is all undefeated still, with Notre Dame in the 10 spot. I mean, or Notre Dame in the 9 spot, Penn State in the 10 spot. I mean, you still got so many undefeated teams as we go into week 6 or week 7. But I think one thing you need to look out for is the fact that there are some of these teams that are going to drop off soon when they start playing harder teams. I feel like Alabama and Clemson, it's been talked about who's the better team in this situation, as Clemson did get moved down last week. But I think Clemson is still an amazing team. I feel like Ohio State, as they just jumped Georgia this week, I don't think Ohio State's as great as everyone says they are. I feel like they're kind of overrated. I feel like Georgia and Jake Fromm is still pretty good with DeAndre Swift. I think they're still an elite team. And overall, LSU's got a pretty good schedule. I think Florida's got a hard schedule come up. They have to play LSU, Georgia, Auburn, and they have to play Alabama. and they have to play Auburn. They have to play so many hard teams, and I think that's where their downfall is going to be. Overall, Florida's going to have a hard time, but Oklahoma, it's good to see what they can do. OU against some people, but I don't know. I just don't know if Ohio State can stay that consistent, and we'll see what UT can do. Obviously, Notre Dame's only one loss against Georgia, so some pretty good teams. I said in the lower part of it, I don't know what you have to say, but in the top 25, we still have that A&M team that has 2 losses, but losses coming from 2 top teams. So I don't know. What are you thinking at this point?
Well, I'm thinking that I think it's an impossibility that Alabama and Clemson come into the playoffs. I mean, Clemson, they came close against UNC, but I don't think that they will lose the game. And even if they do lose the game, I think that then the other teams will probably lose the game. So I don't think you can really keep them out of the playoffs. But I think Alabama's for sure a lock. But I think Georgia, great team. LSU, great team. Oklahoma, Ohio State. Mm-hmm. I don't really see a possibility how Florida could make it in the top 4. You just mentioned their hard schedule. Mm-hmm. And then, so I think this year is going to be just between the big teams. There are a lot of surprises this year, Good teams that are doing well.
Exactly. I think Penn State's definitely a surprise that I've seen every now and then. LSU's playing elite, but we still have to wait for these teams to play each other. Georgia still has to play Texas A&M.
Right.
Alabama still has to play LSU, which is going to be the matchup that everyone's going to want to watch. But you still have to wait for those kind of games in order to determine who's going to be at what spot. So overall, I think Alabama is the number 1 team right now. I think they are the number 1 team. But as we go into these upcoming weeks, I think if they lose to LSU, then they're just going to drop. And if Clemson has any more close games, or when they play Pittsburgh, and if anything happens there, or they play Boston College and anything happens there, I think they'll be looking at a bad situation. So.
Yeah, I just don't see how Alabama can really lose like this year, barring something crazy, because the receivers are so much better than everyone else's cornerbacks.
Mm-hmm.
They can just scheme them open. They got a great coach, Nick Saban. They can just scheme them open. And then all Tua has to do is just sit there, throw to someone wide open. I mean, they have a great quarterback, Tua, so he can make him plays on his own, but. So he can make some dimes, but he doesn't really have to right now since they're just always open.
I think my CFP, my college football playoff, my 4, I'm going to go number 1 is probably Clemson, just because they don't have a tough schedule. And I feel like Alabama, even if they go to the SEC championship and they have a close game with Georgia, or they beat Georgia, or if they lose to Georgia, I think they could still have a chance to get in. This is a thing, though. So if LSU ends up beating Alabama, then technically, and Alabama's only losses to LSU, technically LSU would have to play Georgia, and even if LSU got a loss to, let's say, Auburn, LSU loses to Auburn, in that scenario, and LSU beats Alabama, then LSU still goes to the championship if Auburn gets another loss to Georgia. So if LSU and Georgia played, and Georgia beat LSU, that would give LSU their third whatever loss, right? And that would kick them out. And I think we could see Georgia being the number 1 team, Georgia being the number 1 or 2 team, Alabama coming in with that 4 spot, and maybe seeing OU or Ohio State, probably Ohio State pop in there, because the Big Ten doesn't look too crazy this year, but seeing that. So
something to think about too is LSU and the Alabama game. Like theoretically, if they're both undefeated up to that point, and LSU beats Alabama, I think it doesn't look that bad to Alabama as it would. I think it just probably puts LSU up there as a good team.
Yeah.
And Alabama, it just proves LSU is really good.
Uh-huh.
But Alabama, unless it's not a close game,
just
obviously.
One loss. That's just one loss they have. So.
And I think it just proves that Alabama is still a great team, but they just are not as good as LSU,
mm-hmm.
which would mean that LSU is the 1, and then Alabama would probably be
the
3 or 4.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
I don't really see a scenario where Alabama. Unless LSU obviously loses in between games in between, but I think Alabama, if they lose to LSU, it's not the end of the world.
Yeah,
that's in the future, So
I agree.
We'll talk about that when it comes.
Overall, that's kind of the little opinion for that. I think one player I did want to mention real quick. So I went to go to Oklahoma State game. It was not this past weekend, but the weekend before that. I went to go see a game, and I've been watching this one running back from Oklahoma State, and he's in the Heisman talk, but I feel like he needs to be talked more. Chuba Hubbard. Chuba Hubbard is the Oklahoma State running back, and this man is literally insane. I think Chuba is just a guy that has been putting out numbers better than any other running back, any other player in that category out there right now. And I think Chuba is just a dominant player.
Yeah, 300 yards, a touchdown, a victory over Kansas State. Man, 300 yards. That's almost the record for would be in the NFL. So
that says QB, but it's actually supposed to be RB. That's a running back. So yeah, Chuba's not even a quarterback. He's a running back. He's a running back, and he's one of those top players and stuff. I think overall, Chuba is he's going to be a good player. Pass and then even Tyrone Wallace is one of their wide receivers. He probably won't have a chance of being up there, but he is literally, that team is so insanely good, and they just have to be able to use their weapons properly. All Big Ten defenses are trash, so that's just, Big 12 defenses are trash, so that's just how it is. But
yeah. So do you have a Heisman favorite?
I'm gonna say I gotta go. I know you probably should say Jalen or Tua.
Yeah.
But if Chuba keeps playing this way, I'm going to say Chuba, or if Justin Fields just takes it out of the park, I'm going to say Justin Fields. But Chuba, I'm going to say Chuba. I'm going to go with Chuba.
Yeah, I don't really have, the best, articulated opinion of this, but I think I've seen the numbers, the classic college numbers, like 19 for 21, 400 yards, 5 touchdowns. So, yeah, I think Jalen Hurts, man, he's just so good. And I think, Oklahoma quarterback, riding on the wall.
Exactly. I think that's what it is. Just all the rest of the Oklahoma quarterbacks in him. Yeah. Now, speaking of some of those quarterbacks that were even good throughout their time, speaking of those Oklahoma quarterbacks, we get into a little bit of a talk about Texas high school football, because we've seen Baker coming from Texas high school football. We've seen Kyler coming from Allen, and that leads me to my next point. Texas high school football. We got Allen, Duncanville, North Shore, and Katy all ranked in the top 4. Allen and Duncanville being from Dallas, Katy and North Shore being from the Houston area. I think it's clear to see that Allen is not the team that they were in the past, and Duncanville is just a different team than they were, but they're still one of the top teams. Obviously, Katy beating North Shore was a crazy game earlier this year when it was on live television on ESPN. I think that was a crazy game to watch, but Duncanville is just, I think they're getting stuff done, and I think Duncanville is the team that we need to look out for eventually. Now, one thing I did find out yesterday, which I looked up, so do you know what the biggest high school stadium is in Texas?
It's Allen, right?
That's what you think, right? That's the biggest high school stadium for one team, specifically just built for Allen. Well, you ready for this? Guess who has the biggest stadium that high school football players play in?
No guess.
It's Toyota Stadium.
Oh, really?
So in Frisco, Toyota Stadium houses 20,500 after they just built the Hall of Fame and they added those other seats. They now have the biggest football stadium. So those Frisco teams that play over there, like Centennial, all those different ones, like Centennial, Heritage, Frisco, Reedy, Waco, and all them, and Lone Star, the ones that play there, they actually play on one of the biggest field stadium in all of high school football, which is insane to think that that's literally in our backyard, and yet there's stuff like that people don't even know. And yes, Allen has an 18,000 stadium. That's 20,500, and the Star is actually only 12,000. So they actually put those elite games at the Star with 12,000, when in reality the Toyota's is bigger. It's just the Star is a nicer facility to play.
For sure.
So
newer, all that good stuff.
Yeah, exactly. But got some teams in there. Like I was saying, Allen's not the team that they used to be before, but Duncanville being that number 1 team, and then Katy being in there too. So. But a couple things that we saw. A guy from our school that used to go, his name is Marvin Mims. He is absolutely destroying the game in Lone Star right now. Frisco Lone Star, he's absolutely destroying the game, beating Highland Park with breaking their home streak of over 100 games. The 100 games they were on a win streak, and Marvin and all of them broke that win streak, which is insane. And it's just great to see how well he's been playing.
Yeah. I mean, he's just better, man. He's faster. Give him the ball, he'll probably score a touchdown. And he's got a good route running too. Seen him break some ankles and out there running his routes.
Exactly.
He's good hands too. I mean, Stanford commit, man.
Exactly.
He's going places.
He got 5 touchdowns in that last game versus Wakeland. 5 touchdowns. He had 3 in the first quarter.
Yeah, I saw that.
It's insane how these guys have been playing like this. But speaking about Toyota Stadium, we're gonna jump right into soccer, and then we'll finish it off after that. But talking about soccer real quick, FC Dallas is currently they just made the playoffs yesterday after beating Kansas City, winning 6-0. Seeing that from a team like that is very strange, but I think FC Dallas played very, very well at the last little bit of their season, winning these last home games that matter. And it'll be interesting to see how they do against Seattle as they play in Seattle. But hopefully we'll get a game at home if they do if we do get to the stage where we get to play one home, one away. But I don't know what to think. Obviously, other West teams that are going to be challenging eventually are going to be LAFC. LAFC has just been on top of the game the entire year. They have not let up. They've let their foot off the gas. I mean, that team is insane. And I think overall, FC Dallas can hopefully do well, but losing guys like the Cobra and Reggie Cannon and Acosta to the national team is going to hurt FC Dallas when they get to the playoffs. But hopefully that game in Seattle will be good, and hopefully the MLS can we can have a good playoff this year. One thing I did want to talk about is they changed it up this year for the MLS, how the tournament system. So you used to play one game home, one game away for the whole time. And it used to be a pretty good setup like that. Well, and then you play one game home, one game away. And then the last game is just one game at like a place. There's like one final game. And that decides everything. And I always thought to myself, I was like, well, why would you have it 1-1, 1-1, 1-1, 1-1? And then finally when you get to the last game, you just play one game. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you just go, one here, one home, one away, one home, one away, and then just finally just one game. I'm like, why would you play a best of 3 or something, or maybe something? You're just putting all your all your whatever in one game. It's like, what the heck, dude? But yeah, so that's how it's set up now. I just think that's crazy.
Yeah, I don't know if I agree with that, but I mean, what do I know about? There are reasons for doing that.
Just soccer's a little bit different in
Across
America.
the pond.
Exactly. Across the pond, they're a little bit different over there. But that's about the end of our show. We're gonna do some hot takes real quick. I think I know what mine is. Do you got one in your head?
Yeah, I thought of a couple, but how about you go say yours first?
So I'm gonna have to say right now, if I'm gonna go with a crazy hot take, I'm thinking that I hate to make this claim, but I say that I'm gonna say that the Celtics. Oh, sorry, not the Celtics. I say the 76ers. I don't know why I said Celtics. 76ers. Ben Simmons is going to have over 35% 3-point percentage this year.
Wow, that is bold. From 0% to 35%. I like that. I like that a lot.
That is my big bold claim.
That's a big prediction for the whole season. So I'll stick in the NBA. I'll say my bold prediction is that I think. Let's see.
It's hard to come up with this. This is hard. It's hard because you got to think of something random.
I kind of have two. So I think one of the bold prediction is that the Thunder will make the playoffs. I know people are just writing him off as a tanking team,
Chris Paul,
Danilo Gallinari, he's a great player. He's very tall, but
I actually met the dunk contest guy. What's his name? Who was in the dunk contest?
Aaron Gordon?
No, on the Thunder. Diallo.
I don't know his name, but
Yeah, I actually met him at the EYBL tournament.
Oh, that's cool.
It was insane. I got a picture with him, but it was
awesome.
Yeah. Anyways, hot take. Yeah, you got that.
And then another one is that I think the Jazz will beat out all the other teams, and I think they'll be the 3 seed or the 2 seed. So you can put that out there.
Okay. 3 seed or 2 seed. 2 seed, you could see them. That would be above the Lakers.
Yeah,
with the
that would
Clippers.
be a real hot take, but I'm not really commit that hard
Go
to
for
it.
the 3 seed.
And then I'll one you can pay off now, so I guess you can check me on next week. Is I think the Dolphins will get their first win against the Redskins this week. I know it's kind of like who cares about the Dolphins and Redskins, but I think it'll happen. The Dolphins, honestly, they're pretty garbage, but the Redskins kind of worse. So
I'll give you one right now. I'm gonna say right now that I say Braves win the World Series.
I like that.
Braves win the World Series.
So nice homerism, hot takes.
Little homer right there, but it's all good. I think we've about come to our time. That's basically all for our first podcast. This has been the Smith and Schroeder podcast. My name is Ryan Schroeder.
Mine is Alex Smith.
And thank you all for listening. I think we did pretty well for the first one.
Give us some feedback.
Yeah.
And this is Smith and Schroeder signing out.